And I have to pause there just because one of the other passions I have is for young black men. The numbers are just ridiculous in terms of what we have to deal with when it comes to fatherlessness or fathers not being present. I just want to speak to the pain that causes, because everywhere that I go, there's such rage, such anger because of the absence of a father.
That's right. All right.
And what I'm going to say to you, if that's something that you've experienced as a youth, is, number one, I understand it's the little things that mess you up. Like, I had to learn how to tie a tie on my own. I had to learn how to shave on my own. You know, when I felt like I was ready to date, I didn't know what to say, what to do, what was right, what was wrong. And that's such a blinding, terrible cocktail of things to happen when you're wrestling with your identity, trying to figure out who you are. Learning who you are by curiosity is not God's way. There is a definitive plan for your life, and that's the one thing I want you to have confidence in. So what you actually have to do is, when it comes time, there'll be time to make a withdrawal on that deposit. And this is what I mean. In Psalms chapter 68, verse 5, I ran into that verse that said that he is a father of the fatherless and a defender of the widow.
Thank you, Lord.
Oh, sorry. I can go back to that moment like that.
That's right. Yes, you can.
In that moment, I didn't know if it would work out, but I was like, Lord, I need this verse to be 100% true for me. Desperation. Like, I need it to be true right here, right now. And this is the other thing that I want to speak to in terms of the nighttime. You have to realize that just because I ran into that verse, there wasn't an immediate answer. I struggled a lot for many, many years, because 9 is a very young age to learn. I had to figure out how to bridge that gap between being a boy and being a man. Essentially, what felt like on my own. So, you know, I had mentors here and there, and some of them would come and go. And the fight that I had is I couldn't realize, like, it hurt when the ones that left did leave, because I couldn't understand as a young man, like, Lord, why do the men in my life keep leaving? I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about the same dynamic about what we deal with in our communities, and he was saying, he said, James, we get ready to get married, man, and I'm excited, but I'm terrified. I was like, why is that, bro? Like, this is it. You made it, you know? And he was like, I'm excited to get married, but I'm nervous because I've never been taught how to stay.
Sir. That's good.
Preach, James.
Praise God. That's good.
Tell the truth.
So I just kept on struggling forward. I kept tapping into the godly leaders that I did know. I kept tapping into the mentors that I did know, because it's all that I really knew how to do. And praise God, there was a mentor that I ran into. We actually did this exercise. It's called Your Timeline. It's a beautiful exercise. What you actually do is you take a big poster board and you take your earliest memory, and you actually take those defining moments in your life that you can remember from your earliest memory all the way up to, you know, your current date. So obviously it's something that takes some time. And then as you go through, you switch out those pain points with pink Post-it notes. Moments that were revelations or you feel like were breakthroughs, you have green Post-it notes. And when we were done with mine, there was just pink everywhere, because it was loss of a friendship, loss of a father, loss of a mentor, just pain. And again, when a young man is struggling through those things, isn't it easy to see how the enemy has a foothold?
Yes.
How he has a hook?
That's right. Come on.
So in that point, and what I was going through, I didn't see God's hand, but when I actually took a step back, looked at that timeline, and I actually looked at all the mentors that I had here and there, this is the part that blew me away, y'all. Because remember, I prayed that prayer at 9 that God would be a father to the fatherless. I started to see that it was like a change of the guard. Like every time one would leave, one would come in. See what I'm saying? every time I lost a mentor, there would be like, you know, a father figure or an uncle or a guidance counselor. And what I started to see, y'all, is that God was fathering me the entire time. All right, so back to Peter. So Peter, the thing that's amazing to me, and I'm watching the time. Can I get another 15 minutes? Okay. All right. The thing that's interesting to me is that he had this massive catch. He had just experienced a miracle. And then the thing that he does immediately after that is he looks to Jesus and he says, Jesus, go away from me. And I was like, what? Like, you fished all night long. Like, this is the moment you waited for. This is probably the largest catch I'm guessing you've ever had. And the man who's responsible for it, and I was just, again, I had to slow down, put myself in Peter's shoes. He then at that moment realized who he had on the boat. God, he's like, this is not a normal man. I've got God on the boat. So here's the thing. It's a funny thing when you're waiting for a miracle to happen, it actually shows up. So you actually have the miracle there. You're thankful for it, but you feel unworthy. I believe that something happened in Peter's heart once he realized that God was on the boat. And this is the leader lesson I want y'all to have from this. Every leader feels inadequate or not enough at some time, especially when you're called to do something new. My man's a fisherman. He's talking about being a fisherman. I don't even know what that means. What are you talking about? Right? So the question I want to ask you guys is, what do you feel like God has called you to do next?